Find a peaceful setting and close your eyes. Imagine a white light calling you.
Hello?
Now, feel that love entering your body and emanating out from your chest. Take a deep breath in and remember the energy you give to the universe always comes back to you.
No. Wait.
So we have gotten another I Know What You Did Last Summer, and this time it is a sequel, but it has the same name as the original, like what Halloween did. It's just like you couldn't find a pseudonym or something like that, or like what I think there was like an I'll always know what you did last summer or something like that, but it's like I still know what you did last summer. But anyway, we got another one. So I am not a fan of the original. I'm just going to point that out. I'm not a fan of the original because while I appreciate it trying to be a take on a new take on a slasher, and while I like the idea, it's very like, I don't care about these people and the writing isn't very good. And does this have the same issues? Well, we'll see. So this new summer movie is pretty much the exact same as the original. It's a group of friends. They're, having a good time, and then they're terrorized by a stalker who starts killing them off one by one because they had a incident in their past where, car crashed and stuff happened, and they all just came to a pact like, yeah, let's not talk about what happened. It's pretty much the first one. It's pretty much a copy of the first one, and they just said, okay, how can we make this new? And they just say, and go. So, all right. Despite the fact that I did not like the first one, and I really have no desire to see the second one, despite Jack Black being in it. When this was coming out, I was thinking, all right, I feel like this is coming out because a lot of horror movies from like, whether it be the 80s or the 90s are, in this case, the 90s, are coming back in new variants, such as Scream or Candyman or Halloween. And this one was kind of like can we even add something new to this? And so, I didn't like this. Okay, I'm just going to say it now. I did not like this. I was giving it a chance where I'm like, you know what? There's some times where I've seen like the original movies and I didn't like them, and then the sequels are a lot better. Let's see how this goes. I'll give this a shot. But I don't think it succeeded. But to give this movie credit, the sound design, I will give it that. The sound design was actually pretty good. I'll give it credit for that. Now, it's cool to see them getting Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. back, but yeah, I'll get to that eventually. So it's kind of one of those, like, it kind of hits the same tempos as stuff like Halloween or Scream did, where it was, okay, we're bringing this back, we're kind of we're trying to reintroduce this to a new generation, but also have those nostalgia stuff. So like, Halloween, they brought back Curtis, they, brought back a whole bunch of other characters. With Scream, they brought back Campbell, they brought back Cox, they brought back Arquette. And so it's like, all right, you're bringing all these people back. But the problem is that with those movies, they actually give them more stuff to do. Where with this one, not really. I mean, I don't want to, spoil it, but while it's cool to see Freddie Prinze Jr., doing something again, that's cool. He's kind of one of those, just kind of like, I'm sitting here kind of collecting a check kind of thing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was more, Hewitt, where it's like you're in like 2 scenes and then you pop up at the very end. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. You're part of this. Where Prinze Jr., they give more stuff to do in this. But to kind of pivot to the negatives, characters, I did not care about anybody. I'm like, I just don't care. And it was a lot of the same issues I had with the original, where it was like, I just don't care about anybody. I don't care about anybody. The writing is a little flat. Like, they had the concept and they just went, let's not really do anything clever with this. And so I've seen like a bunch of people say like the original is like it's a fun movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie. And I'm like, okay, at least you're acknowledging the fact that, okay, it's not a good movie. But there are genuinely people out there that think that the original is really good. And I'm like, okay, but you understand, like, it's flawed. It's not very good. And they're like, no, I think it's really good. I'm like, yeah, I can't help you. I'm sorry. I can't. And this kind of ticks the same boxes. And, I thought this movie was also, its pacing was way too long. Like, it's almost 2 hours. It's like, this does not need to be 2 hours. This could have been an hour and a half, and you could have cut a lot of stuff out or trimmed some stuff down, and it would have saved you a better runtime. Now, to another point to this is that they definitely bump up the violence. The blood and the gore is pretty higher than the original. I will give that one credit. But if you don't care about your characters, it doesn't amount to anything. Like, there's no point in this where I went, damn, that hit. I was like, that sucks. I'm just like, yeah, I just don't care. Sorry. So, from characters to the writing, it feels very jumbled in spots. But, the good, like I said, the sound design I thought was really good. It's cool, like the nostalgia stuff. If you're a fan of the original, you'll definitely like the nostalgia stuff that they do. And the violence too. They bump up the violence, and it's like, all right, that's cool. All right, I like that. But, at the end of the day, this just wasn't, interesting to me. I mean, I'm someone who, like I said before, I went into this, like, thinking, like, you know what? This could be completely different. This could be, very good. I will go into this with the benefit of the doubt. I will give this thing a chance. And it was still like, no, this wasn't very good. And overall, unless you are a huge fan of the original, you may get some merits out of this one, mainly for those nostalgia stuff. But it does feel like a hardened copy of the original, and it was like I'll let that slide if it was good. And I was like, not really. Or if they kind of there was stuff in here to do something else and do something different. And I personally think with this, they could have done something a lot different instead of just piggybacking off of the original and just going like, all right, we'll just take that and then chop it up and then kind of rearrange a little bit. We'll erase some stuff. We'll add like slight pivots to it, and okay. At the end of the day, it still feels like the original. So, I don't blame the actors for their characters being just very flat and very just meh. I blame the writing on that one. So, overall, I didn't like this one. I just thought it was like, where with Halloween or Scream, there was room to do more stuff in. This one, I personally didn't think there was anything in there. And especially with a twist at the end, I was like, that's kind of stupid. Like, really? You're doing that? I was like, okay, whatever. I don't really care at this point. Where with Halloween and Scream, there was more stuff they could potentially do. Now, whether they succeeded or not is up to you. Personally, I think Scream succeeded more than Halloween did, but that's a different conversation. That's another topic for another day. But at the end of the day, this was just personally, I think this was just terrible. This just adds to I didn't like the original one anyway, but going into this one with, fresh thinking, was thinking, all right, they can do something else, and they didn't. It honestly felt like they were just like, hey, let's try to copy what the original did, but try to pivot just slight enough to where it's new. That's kind of what this feels like. So, and with a post-credit scene where it's like, oh, they could potentially do another one. It's just like, yeah, I don't care. So, this wasn't this, it didn't work for me. Like I said, if you are a fan of the original, you may get some merit out of this one. But for me personally, as a person that just didn't like the original, but went into this with, fresh brain, it didn't work.
Someone is coming after us. I need your help.
I just have one question.
What did you do last summer?
This place is so beautiful, it makes me want to die.